Welcome to the Diverse Minds Summer Shorts. This is a quick-fire guest series so that we can hear from some different voices and hear their take on mental health and inclusion. And of course, in video format, which, as many of you know, is not my preferred format. I have been solely audio for the last 6+ years. But I thought it would be a good idea because I have a number of people who like to message me and let me know that they'd like to be a guest on the podcast, and I haven't had capacity. So this is my way of getting people on the show, quick fire format, and hopefully introduce you to guests with different views and approaches. So I really hope you enjoy. And today I'll be speaking to Kate Gaskell. So, Kate, a huge welcome to the show. Welcome and tell us more about yourself.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me. So my name is Kate Gaskell. I'm the CEO of FlexLegal, which is an alternative legal services provider. We support law firms and in-house teams with interim paralegals, lawyers, company secretaries, legal ops professionals, and we also have a flagship, I should say, award-winning social mobility initiative where we support aspiring solicitors and company secretaries from underrepresented socioeconomic backgrounds to help them on their paths to qualification in their chosen careers.
That's brilliant. That's so exciting. And you've come from a background of very big legal firms, and I
Mhm.
wondered what made you go to a smaller one, and was some of that reason connected to your mental health and well-being?
Yeah, for sure. Yes, so I started off my career, as you said, in large law firms, and then I moved out of private practice into LexisNexis, which is a huge organization as
Mm.
well, in legal technology and publishing. And then I met the founder of Flex about 5 years ago and was really impressed with what Flex was doing in the industry, trying to open new, different opportunities to people at various stages in their careers. But you're quite right that it was quite a personal decision to move to the organisation and largely actually driven by the Flex trainee scheme, which was just in its embryonic early stages back 4.5 years ago when I joined. And the reason was really because I had come from a low socioeconomic background myself.
Mm.
So I grew up in a low income family, single parent, single income family, was on free school meals, and was under the impression when I started my career that once I got the role in the big law firm,
Mm.
hopefully, that it would all become suddenly easier and I would feel immediately like I'd arrived and I'd, belonged there, and realized quite quickly that that wasn't the case. So I just thought that what Flex was trying to do as an organization, making sure that people feel supported at every stage of that, those early months and years was really, really important. And in a smaller organization as well, from a sort of personal perspective, I felt like the challenge and opportunities presented by being in an organization that has the ability to be so nimble and experimental and entrepreneurial
Mm.
would be really challenging and fun, which it has been.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating, isn't it? Because I do think small organizations or solopreneurs can, you said agility, flexibility,
Yeah.
innovation. I think it's so much easier to do that.
Yes.
And I can see from your, the way you talk about your lived experience, this has informed the way you champion equity, inclusion, and belonging in your work. And I can see that it's really a core part of your values. I don't know if you want to say more, and also how you've been, working with the interns and more about the program.
Yeah, of course. It's definitely a core part of my values personally. So I really, like a lot of lawyers, I think, are strongly motivated by justice and fairness and
Mm.
equity. So it's really personally fulfilling to be able to be involved in a scheme that supports people who really do deserve being given a break and the first,
Mm.
opportunity for sort of foot in the door. Organisationally, it's also really part of our values. So our core company values, we have three: are human, trusted, and entrepreneurial. And we like to think that we live those every day. And a couple of examples just from the scheme itself. So as I said, I at that stage in my career believed that getting into the organization was the kind of end of the journey, and actually it's just the
Mm.
very, very beginning. So we really recognize that with our own trainees, and we, before we place them in with a client for their first secondment, we take them through a 3-week readiness program. It's our proprietary training, and we give them sessions on technical skills, so legal content like drafting, researching, reviewing documents, as well as I think a lot of the core skills that I definitely didn't have naturally.
Mm.
I hadn't been in a lot of environments where those sort of unwritten rules of professional settings were made clear to me. So we take them through how to build their networks and how to start to prepare for meetings with supervisors, how to introduce themselves if they come across somebody senior in the lift. How do you tell the story about who you are in 30
Mm.
seconds and deliver real impact? And then also we get in people from the profession who are, we believe, good role models to show, to just tell their stories. I really believe personally in the power of storytelling and how
Mm.
important it is that you see people a few steps or a lot of steps ahead of you who look and sound a bit like you do. I think it is a bit of a cliche, but you know, that whole sort of see it to be it is really, really
Mm.
important. And so we bring in people to just share their career journeys and give the trainees the benefits of their sort of wisdom and insights. And then I think one of the key benefits of that 3 week experience is that they get a peer network around them. So
Mm.
again, for me, at that stage, my peer group were my support network, and I think it can be quite lonely as a trainee solicitor training in house. You might be the only trainee in the team, even in the organization, and so having somebody who's at the same point of the journey with
Mm.
you, who you can just support and be supported by, I think is really it makes it sort of easier to stick at it. You know, it's a hard journey, so having that scaffolding, I think, is really important.
And I'm delighted to hear this because so few organizations are doing this. So
Mhm.
readiness, I think that's so important. And do you feel, and this is a big question, with all the conversations about crisis, cost of living, social immobility, if I can call it that, that
Mm.
things are shifting in a direction that makes you feel heartened and gives you hope?
I do feel heartened overall. I think it's
Mm.
easy to feel that, I mean, there are a lot of challenges still, and it is you know, society
Mm.
is challenging. Like there are a lot of, it's easy, I think, to feel a bit despondent about the way society is and the way I think the junior talent market is. I think that's very, very difficult. I'm not going to pretend that it's not, but I do think that it's positive. It gives me optimism that there are so many conversations happening around these sorts of topics. And again, if I throw myself back sort of 25 years when I was starting out, these sorts of conversations didn't happen. Nobody really talked about
Mm.
social
Wow.
mobility. Nobody really talked about well-being and mental health and resilience. It was just a sort of roll up your sleeves and get on with it. And I think having the conversation is the first step. It's not the whole journey, but I think that is important. So I think a lot of the time progress happens in the micro. And so it's really
Mm.
important to especially in a business like ours where we're moving at pace all the time. It's really important to take stock and every so often look at what we've achieved and where we could improve things to do better and have more impact rather than just rushing on to the next thing. So yes, I do feel optimistic, but that is not to say that we're there yet. I mean,
Mm.
in the legal sector, the diversity data that our regulator captures every couple of years shows that the profession's going backwards on social mobility. So we've got a long way to go.
Yeah, okay. And you said it yourself, a really fast-paced business. We know legal profession, lots of changes, that big case with AI and the barrister, as an example. I don't want to go down there. But what I do want to ask is how you support your own mental health and well-being in the work that you do as a legal professional, but also the work that you're doing to increase social mobility in your sector.
Yeah, sure. So I am multi-curious. So over the last sort of, I would say 15 years, I'm trying to think how long ago, it may even be 20 years. I came to yoga as a practice really early on, when I was a teenager. And then after I left private practice, I went off and did my first yoga teacher training. So I've lent on yoga and those sorts of practices for a long, long time. Even more so after I became a parent, because
Mm.
again, a little bit of role modeling, but also, you know, it's that sort of analogy of fitting your own oxygen mask first. So I do yoga. I'm now a breathwork practitioner. I have a hypnotherapy diploma, a sound meditation teaching diploma. So I lean on all those sorts of things. And again, just coming back to it's in the micro. I do, like what a lot of people, find it challenging to carve out big chunks of time for that. And I think that can sometimes be a blocker to doing anything. If you think, oh, well, I can't get to an hour long yoga class, I'll just forget it completely. But actually, a 1 or 2 minute breath work practice while you're trying to wait for the kettle to boil, or, standing at the traffic lights waiting to cross the road, and just bringing yourself into the present moment and having a quick scan of where you are and how you feel it all has that compounding effect. So I think it's important not to be put off by having time limitations, and just work with what you can.
Thank you, Kate. That's a really lovely way to frame it. And thank you so much for joining us on the summer shorts. I hope you're going to take a summer break, and it's been delightful having you.
Definitely. Thank you so much, and thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.